Okay. I want to thank everybody for being on the webinar here. I think you're going to get a lot of value on the slides, with slides here. And also, if you're on the conference bridge, you're going to get a lot of great information. We have some good slides here on the webinar. So thanks for joining us. I have put together, in my business, working with John Esplanade with Work Smart, Be Smart, a autoresponder system that's been extremely helpful for me because I'm probably one of the most disorganized people on the planet, and my follow-up is really poor. I'm very good on the front end getting people in, but I've been very poor on the back end, following up on people over the years and keeping that consistency of follow-up. And we call it the drip system, where you're dripping in on people and you're making that happen. And so I worked with John here, and he put a whole system together with letters and information and websites and everything. And I'm going to let him explain this entire system. But what we want to do is give you an overview of the power of follow-up done correctly, and having a system that reaches everybody, and everybody feels like they're plugged in. And it's been a big help for my business. It really, really has, and it's helped me with my follow-up tremendously. So John is the CEO of Work Smart, Be Smart, and I'm going to let him roll with this presentation. And John, why don't you just start it up here and share your story with everyone.
Great, thanks, Jay, and thanks everyone for coming on to the webinar tonight. Jay, if you could do me one favor, if you could just back up one slide. Just want to let everybody know, Jay, because it's his webinar room, he's actually sort of say my Vanna White, so to speak. So I appreciate you helping me here with this PowerPoint. You should all see what is yours, and really what I want to lead with is, all of the great, if you've been a fan of Dale Carnegie or Napoleon Hill or any of the great leaders in business and coaches, one of the things they've always said is that the fortune is in the follow-up, and that's really the theme of tonight's webinar, right? So what I want to share with you is Work Smart, Be Smart. We work with small business owners and sales professionals from different industries, and one thing that we can point to that separates the successful from the not as successful entrepreneurs and salespeople is their follow-up, and specifically their follow-up system. So what I want to share with you are the components of what goes into having the perfect follow-up system. With your permission, I want to share with you my own isogenic story. I was telling this to Jay actually before the webinar started, that my story is that I was in the lending industry, so I help people obtain residential and commercial mortgages, and so I was part of a networking group called BNI. Many of you may be familiar with that, Business Networking International. And there was another person in our group who was representing Isogenics. This is back in 2006, so it's a little over close to 6 years ago now. And she was passionate about Isogenics, yet for whatever reason, I wasn't ready. So nothing ever happened. Well, fast forward to about 2009, and a friend at the gym knew that I was putting my own shakes together in the morning. And he was buying he was a preferred customer with Isogenic, and he told the person who enrolled him about me, and that person said, you know what, here's a sample of shakes, and if you could give this to John, I think he'd really enjoy it. So I was given those shakes, and they sat in my gym bag, actually, for 6 months until I tried them. And still, I wasn't ready to move forward because, I was into making my own shakes and what have you. Well, fast forward again to the end of 2010, beginning of 2011. And by that point, I was in the mid-40s. I was starting to see a little bit of changes in my body and metabolism, where I said, whatever I'm doing is not working, and I'm busy enough in my businesses where I don't want to think about it anymore. So I decided to give the Isogenic, product a try, and I actually started off as a preferred customer. So the bottom line is that look at that window of time. It was about 5 years, and it took 3 introductions to Isogenic for me to finally get on board. And today, I'm working with Jay and a team to help grow, my own isogenics business. I became a believer and really wanted to share that message with those that I care about. And, I'm fortunate enough to be a star consultant, and my goal this year is to make executive. So I go back and I think about if the original person had stayed up, had followed up with me for 5 years, when all along when I was saying no, right, there was either no, I wasn't ready, or no, I didn't know enough. Yet if they had followed up, would have added however large team that the team that we are growing here in the Bay Area. I would have they would have been able to add to their team. So with that, I want to share with you what are the components of having a world-class follow-up system that you can create or build for your own business, so you can build a more consistent and profitable business. So go ahead, we'll go to the next slide, Jay. So here's a couple slides here, or a slide here that represents what might be. Now this, because of the webinar here, usually these float in one at a time, but let me kind of talk through them. When it comes to your follow-up system, what is your follow-up system? Is it, you'll see the phone right there, right? So is it just the phone? Behind that image, there's the image of a Rolodex. So is it your Rolodex? Behind that is an Excel spreadsheet. And also, it might be Outlook. So which of those are part of your follow-up system? And they're all great. I mean, the fact that you even have any system for following up is great. And at the same time, each of those systems I point out there requires you to really to manage your system, your follow-up system. And really what you want to do is have your follow-up system manage you and tell you who to call, who to contact at the appropriate time, while in the background it's consistently emailing valuable information to everybody in your database where it's appropriate, in the appropriate fashion. And a good example of that be, like if I bring a new associate on to the team, I want to communicate to them differently than I might a new preferred customer, right? So and all along, what I'm really trying to do is provide them good value, good content, and all moving towards or in the same direction. So next slide here. So what I'm going to share with you is a component. So first of all, let's define what a system is. A system is a group of interacting, interrelated, or interdependent elements forming a complex whole. And what I mean by that is, again, going back to I don't want to go back to the previous slide, yet if we did, the phone's great, your Rolodex is great, Outlook is great, Excel is great, email is great. Yet if you're not doing them all together, you really don't have a system that's working for you. So let's go in to see exactly what it takes to build a follow-up system. So first of all, why do you even need a follow-up system? Before you go through the hard work of building it, well, you really want to build a consistent, profitable business. And going to this next slide here, you can see here, who do you want to put into your system? And I would suggest to you is build a system by categorization here. So let's look at some potential categories. One, people who don't know you. And these are prospects. Either they're people who come in through, say, the internet, maybe they're people you've spoken to yet are not ready to move forward right now, either through the business or with the product as a customer. And remember, go back to my own story. I would be somebody 5 years ago, I would be a prospect. You'd want to stay in touch with me. Next category would be people you are currently working with. I would categorize them as active, and they could be an active customer or an active associate. Okay? People you've done business with, and this could be a past customer or a past associate. You still want to stay in touch with people because, as we all know, life changes, and to close the door, we never want to close the door on a relationship that might, for whatever reason, where they're ready to move forward. And if we're not staying in touch with them, guess what? And they can't get a hold of us. They may be, joining someone else's team as a customer and as an associate. I would have a category of networking. So everybody you're coming in contact in regards to your business and isogenic, you want them in your follow-up system. vendors. In this case, I said, it could be your painter, it could be an appraiser, it could be your insurance person. So again, anybody who's providing services or products to you. Personal. These are family and friends, your neighbors, what have you, and certain niches that you might have. Like let's say if you're an attorney, you want to put your CPAs and financial planners in there. And really, what I'm trying to say here is that you want to make sure that this really leads to your isogenic business. That what you don't want to do, and I'll talk about this later, is you do not want to be the filter. You want to have the system help you filter out or categorize and also filter out who's ready to move forward now and who's ready to move forward later. So let's talk about the component then for your follow-up system. The first component really is a little bit of a lag here, so Jay and I are working remotely. Well, while Jay is forwarding that slide, I'll kind of jump ahead to it. So your first component is really emails, right? And so by emails, I'm talking about the first thing you want to do with your emails is send out a system of emails. One, you want to do introductory emails. So whether it's a preferred customer, whether it's an associate, maybe it's somebody who's still a prospect, you want to send an email that's acknowledging that either you're looking forward to having a conversation with them and sharing information, or you thank them for taking the time to share thoughts and ideas on better health and better wealth. You want to send these emails of value based on what's important to the recipient. Again, because what's important to, remember, I have everybody in my system, right? So what's important to, say, my brother may not be important to my newest associate, and vice versa. I would recommend you having a system of pre-written emails where you have consistent emails for a minimum of 5 years. What you want to do is you want to focus on the short term and the long term, because if left unto ourselves, we get busy, and if you're doing this right, when you're isogenic, as Jay alluded to, you're going to get busy, and you're enrolling, you're in conversation with a lot of people, with hundreds of people per month, and if you're relying on yourself to send out valuable emails with great content, you may or may not do that consistently. Okay, here's where I think it's important. In the system we worked with Jay to create, along with the isogenic information and videos and what have you, we've also interjected different emails that are still important to them and really are related to isogenic, yet not isogenic only. A couple of examples would be if I send them an email that talks about how many ounces on average the average person should have based on their weight. I mean, that's valuable information. But yeah, it's not isogenic only, right? So it all leads to either better health or better wealth. Yet we're integrating other valuable email and content for them. And then also, in terms of frequency, you don't want to spam them. So as you're developing your email campaigns, you want to make sure you're delivering great content in a timely manner, yet you don't want to do it to where you're bombarding them with emails. So when we look at short-term email campaigns versus long-term, short-term definitely is going to be a little higher frequency, yet at the same time being respectful, right, of their time and their email, and at the same time it's going to stay in touch with them in 5 years. And then in your emails, you should ask for the business periodically. And it's okay to ask for the business in a respectful way if you're providing content first. See, so along the way, if I'm providing them great content and information that's important to them, I'm building trust and credibility, which then allows me the opportunity to ask for the business periodically, either of themselves or the people they know. So that's the first component of your follow-up system. So what's the second component of your follow-up system? Well, it comes down to phone calls, and we'll jump ahead to the next slide, Jay. Now, the system we created with Jay and for Jay, and that he's using, along with an email campaign, it has strategic phone calls, or what's called an action plan, layered in. So, for instance, if I meet somebody and and they're a prospect, I've shared a video with them, or what have you, and they're just not ready to do it right now. They're still thinking about it. Well, I'll send them I'll put them in the system as a prospect. They'll receive an acknowledgement email automatically, and 3 days later, I'll have an action plan, or what we call a to-do, that will remind me to make a phone call. I see that contact. I just email went out 3 days ago, and then I can let them know. I can follow with a phone call that's very strategic. And you want to make sure you're making phone calls in a timely manner. And I would suggest to you setting a schedule of a minimum of 5 years. Now, I really relate this back to my own experience. If that first person had stayed in touch with me, we could be working together today. Okay, so you want regular intervals of phone calls into your follow-up system. And again, more often than not, when you're working with people who are advisors or working in sales or what have you, if you're having to go into your Outlook system and in your calendar remind yourself to when do you make the next phone call? Well, rather than trying to figure that out for every single person, create a system that reminds you for every single person, so that the system is helping you manage the relationships with everybody in your database. And then also, your phone calls should confirm the receipt of an email or a piece of mail that you might have sent them previously. And that's where the system we've created allows you to go back and see, what was the last email I sent to them? Well, chances are the reminder to call them is piggybacking on top of an email you just sent them. So now, rather than just saying, I'm calling to check in, you can say, hey, Jay, I'm calling to make sure that you received that email I sent you on the difference between that there are differences in whey protein. And I want to see if you got the email as well as what your thoughts were on that. Again, it becomes very strategic and focused in our conversation. And again, offer information and help that they need. So again, it's be present, and Jason reminds me all the time, meet them where they're at. Okay? So offer information, help that they need. And then, because again, I'm providing great value and content, and I'm interested in them, from time to time, I want a system that's going to remind me when it's appropriate to ask for the business and also to ask for referrals. We'll go to the next slide here. So follow-up system number 3. And, I went to this, before I started Work Smart, Be Smart, and now that I'm building this, this growing and thriving isogenics business of helping people, I spent years in marketing with both Cisco Systems up here in Silicon Valley and Southwest Airlines, and really and a couple other high-tech companies. And through that, I realized that in staying in touch with people, I wanted to have an email campaign. I wanted to have live conversations either on the phone with them or in person. And also, there's a need and there's also a place for direct mail. In this case, I'm talking about sending mailings that are of value to them. And again, a nice greeting card, believe it or not, it's been said that people really don't know or care how much you know until how much they see how much you care. So a mailing of value in this case could be a greeting card, a birthday card, maybe for an associate or a preferred customer. It might be an annual anniversary card thanking them for being on the team or thanking them for their business, right? Consistent mailings for a minimum of 1 year, if I were going to do that. And really, that would be short term. If I were going to do this, in our system, it actually calls out for 5 years, okay? And again, avoid just sending them isogenic email. It kind of goes back to our email campaigns and our phone calls. And again, through your mailings, a nice way to ask for business and referrals is letting great language on that is just saying, you know what, it's nice to meet you, and I want to let you know that I'm always here for you and those you care about. Anytime you are looking for more information on how to improve your health and also how to create more income or residual income. That's a nice way of just letting you know that that you're always there for them. So here's some examples of some relationship building via mailing. Make it truly personal, at least to start with, and no business. Nice to meet you. Welcome to my team or family. Thank you for the referral. Birthdays and anniversaries. And I want to go to that third bullet point for thank you for the referral. Always remember to thank the referral source, right? So if I refer Jay to my cousin Larry, well, that's a behavior that Jay sees in me where he wants to recognize my behavior of referring Larry, right? And then and he wants me to repeat it. So the best way he can get me to repeat it is by recognizing the behavior. So the system actually calls out and says, if there's a new contact, were they referred? If they were referred, then make sure you call to thank the referral source. And oh, by the way, you might want to send him just a greeting card in the mail thanking him again. Because again, well, you have advocates and you have champions out there. You want them to repeat that behavior as much as possible. we'll go to the next slide here. So if you look at it, this is your perfect follow-up system. You have emails, you have phone calls, and you have mail working together. I want to talk to you a little bit about, what all the marketing research says in regards to, our minds are made for processing, not storing information. So think about your mind. If you were to relate your mind to a computer, your mind is a processor. It's not a hard drive, right? So it only has so much information. It can only hold so much information. So, if I were thinking about my favorite hairstylist, let's say, you asked me who my favorite hairstylist. I might say to you, well, it's Barbara. Well, Barbara's not available today. Who would be your second? Well, if it's not Barbara, it's probably Betty. Well, Betty's not available either. After that, in my mind, after number 1 or number 2, I don't even know who number 3 is. So when it comes to helping people with their health and their wealth, you want to stay in their mind slot. And all the marketing research shows that you want to stay in touch with people 33 touches. Okay, so in regards to isogenic, if there's nobody in that slot of their mind that fills that role with better health and or better wealth, by staying in touch with them through a combination of different touches. In this case, it would be email, thank you calls, telephone calls, birthday cards, a seasonal card. You can stay in touch and stay in that slot. And, from a network marketing perspective, if for whatever reason you're dealing with somebody on your team and you want to have them understand why isogenic is the best opportunity for them to build a business, which we all know it is, well, 33 touches gets you in their mind. Also, what it does is it prevents from someone else going into that spot of their mind when it comes to better health and better wealth. So that's just a word to utilize. There are always 33 touches, whether it's a prospect or someone you're actively working with. So here are the challenges that we've seen that in coming into contact with Jay and others when it comes to building a world-class follow-up system. You get busy in business and in life, right? If you're doing this right, you're going to be in conversation with a lot of people, right? So how do you manage it all? You're an I business. It means that you're doing this all by yourself. And until you get to a certain point, many of us are doing this with an I business until we can start to form a team. You forget. There's a lot of priorities in life, and you just forget to follow up. You overthink it, then you have to start, and then also lack of valuable content. It took us over 6 months to put this system together, for Jay and other hypogenic colleagues. Also, when it comes down to it, the number one challenge, and we'll go to the next slide, it really is time, and time. Like, how do you put it all together, right, when you're managing all these different aspects of your business? So, to that end, here's a couple of suggestions how you can quickly put together a follow-up system. One, start to look at your family members. See what they can do to help you, whether it's, doing your greeting cards, or mailing your greeting cards, or reminding you. You can look at virtual assistants. If you go onto the web, onto the Craigslist or what have you, you can, or Google virtual assistants. You can have virtual assistants for as little as $5, $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 an hour. Who can help you. There's also third-party companies as well in terms of database management systems. And then also there's also you, yourself, and you, right, at the end of the day. And that's what you want to stay away from. So we'll go to the next slide. So what we recommend as a follow-up system is you want to combine a CRM, and for those of you who don't know, a CRM is a contact relationship management. It's contact relation management software or / a database management system. If you combine that with an assistant, and again, to the previous slide, there's different types of assistants that can help you. Your family member, maybe maybe your children, maybe a virtual assistant. But if you combine a CRM database with an assistant, you can really build and execute a world-class follow-up system rather quickly. And we'll go to the next slide here. So, one thing I mentioned here is once your system's in place, let your system be your filter. And again, don't prejudge. I've heard Jay and other experts share this, is that you don't ever assume or presume for people. You never know who they are. Your job is to be in conversation with them and then get everyone into your database, and then let your system be your filter. Because, left unto our own thoughts, sometimes we can get to that point where we say, boy, they're not really interested, or they don't want me to contact them again, or they don't want any information. Or it might be, look, they're a new associate, they're getting all the help they need through isogenics or what have you. So you want to get everybody into your system, and then let your system help you gain a relationship with everybody. We'll go to the next slide. So here's once your system is in place, you want a way to get them quickly into your system. This is what we call the smart pad. This is how Jay quick gets everybody into the system quickly. And this is a interface that we created. It's not an application that's specific to an iPhone, a Droid, or what have you. It basically sits up as a URL that you can have access to on any internet-ready device. And depending on your industry, this just happens to be one we set up as an example for a real estate agent, where depending on who they are, they press any of these buttons, and what happens is the web form comes up, and they quickly get them into the system. So whether it's a prospect, an active associate, a past associate, or a past customer, you want to get them quickly into this system. This is how we set this up for Jay and others, to quickly get contacts into the system as well as move them along. Well, if I have somebody who's a prospect who decides to join the team as an associate, or maybe start buying products and convert customer, I need a way to quickly get them into there and sending them the appropriate communication. I've set the appropriate action plan, and I know exactly what to do, so no one ever slips through the cracks. Jay, let's go to the next slide. So once they're into your system, here's what you want to do. You want them to automatically assign the category that they are. Again, we can have prospect, a customer prospect and an associate prospect. Again, you can go through. I think that's a great way of categorizing the people in your database. Prospect, active or past, networking, personal, vendors. Right. Again, get people in categories. And that way, you can start create campaigns around them versus trying to do one-off campaigns on an individual basis, which will basically become, for lack of a better term, it becomes a time suck, and that's not what you want to do in your isogenic business. It's important that you're out there in live conversations with people, either over the phone or in person. We'll go to the next slide. So again, let's go back to, so now that you understand what the follow-up system is, I want to share with you exactly how WorkSmart and BeSmart have created a system that not only helps you follow up with emails, but also why Jay and others are using it successfully. So first of all, our system, and it's easy to use. I don't know if you've ever used other database management systems out there, whether it be Constant Contact, it could be Salesforce, it could be Act, what have you. It's easy to use. If it's not easy to use, then what we found is people were buying systems and they weren't using them. The next one is plug and play. Jay mentioned to me in a conversation one night over the phone, he's like, you know what, it's plug and play. Because that's the important thing about it. I can give you that smart pad. I know who my contact is. I press the button. I enter them in, and everything happens from there. It keeps you in a relationship with all of your contacts. And I know Jay will share with us some of his experience in a minute here about how it's helping him stay in a relationship with people in his, everyone in his database. And really, when you're talking about having a world-class follow-up system, the more you can stay in touch with everybody in your database in the appropriate fashion, that's what helps you build a more consistent and more profitable business. So we'll go to the next slide here, and I'll let you know share with you the actual components of the WorkSmart BeSmart system.
All right, John, let me interject here. I want to just make sure this is a good time for me to interject as a customer, if you will, of WorkSmart BeSmart, and I want to make it kind of network marketing user-friendly for everybody. We know that follow-up is critical, and like John's saying, a lot of times things slip through the cracks. Well, every single name, phone number, email goes into this system. I don't care where I get the name, phone, and email number from. I don't care where it's from, how I get it, what goes on. I'm putting everything in this database. So I want everybody to know that long-term database marketing is where it's at, because it's numbers and numbers and numbers. There's no other way to get around it. So when you go back to the keypad that he was showing for a real estate company, he has a keypad for isogenics. So basically you have prospects, who are just people that have no clue what you're doing, and you have an email strategy and a follow-up strategy with those prospects that have no clue, and you break those down into someone also who would be a potential customer. So you could hit the keypad as a potential customer. They could already be a customer, and you could hit the keypad for an existing customer. All the emails are different for each category. See, every email is different. So the prospective customer, someone you're trying to get as a customer, they're getting emails to say, hey, this is why you should do it. The existing customer, they're getting educated on being a customer and getting different information on what it means to be a customer and how to use the products. Then you have another category for a potential business builder. Today I just put someone in with their name, phone, and email as a potential business builder. They're going to get information on the network marketing industry, on Isagenix, on the potential of making money here, and what all the benefits are of being in this business. But then I have another category of a business builder, somebody that comes in, salutes to the flag, says, I want to do Isagenix. They sign up, they're telling you their goals, and I have their email campaign set up specifically as a business builder. These are the steps that you need to take. These are the action steps that you need to do next. And those emails are going out whether I'm involved or not. Once I got them in the system, those emails are going out periodically. Now, on top of that, I can go into the back office and I can follow up on all those people in those different categories and actually see that they opened up the email. That's huge right there. I know some people never open up the email. That shows they really don't care and they're not interested. And some people have opened up the email 4, 5, 6, 7 times on the same email. So I know the statistics or the hits on my email, so that if I'm going to follow up, I'm ending up following up with the people that have actually watched the video or looked at the email and checked things out, and those are the people I call back first. The ones that don't look the information over, I really don't end up having the time to even call them. So it gives me the information I need to make the right calls to the people that show the most interest. On top of that, because the emails are going out, they feel like I'm in touch with them, and I got this going out to thousands, well, I don't know if it's thousands, but it's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I think right now in my database I have about 600 in the database right now. And so all those 600 people are getting a touch by me, and then I get emails back going, oh, I really like that email, I really like that article. Can you tell me more about the program? Can you tell me more? I'd like to sign up. Matter of fact, in the new year, I had 5, 6 people call me to get started on Isagenix. I don't even know where it came from, but I got 5, 6 calls. Hey, can I get started on the system? And those were calls and emails coming in right when the new year started. And I have to think that that's the system getting the word out that people are calling me. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that in as a distributor, as a networker in Isagenix, so that maybe you could all relate to that. And okay, John, and back to you.
Thanks a lot, Jay. So if we'll go to the next slide, and thanks for pointing that out and sharing your own experience, because when we put this together, we're leveraging a lot of the Isagenix information. So what we've done in the emails look as though you sat down in front of your computer and we're sending an individual email to them. So let's say for a new Isagenix associate, it's going to point them towards the leadership website. It's going to point them towards, have you checked out the Isamovie or Isamovie website? It's going to share with them information. So it's delivering information to that person based on a schedule that makes sense and it's appropriate to them. And actually, Jay was kind enough to go through every single email basically and say, okay, these are great emails. If I were going to build a system for me that I would share with others, here's what it would look like. Here's the type of content. And also, here's the delivery. And when I mentioned to you earlier, not spamming people, delivering valuable content and in the appropriate fashion and timing, he actually went through every single email to say, okay, hey, if I were going to do this based on, if we're going to create a system and then this is how I would do it. So when you're using the system, you're getting Jay's key insights on how he would stay in touch with people, when and where and what type of content. There's also a component within our system that actually has lead generation. So we've actually leveraged a lot of the success stories from the Isogenics website and created web form or ads that you can actually easily place into Craigslist. So I post my own ads, and I actually have people come in from up here in the Northern California area as well as from around the country. And surprisingly, if you've ever used Craigslist before, these people are providing me their first name, last name, email address, which is in exchange for great information, and also they're providing me their phone number now. So we've created these ads. They're already ready to go. You can take the code and just push your own Craigslist ads. You can also, within the system, use the different web forms for your Facebook page, or let's say you have your own website or what have you. There's also, again, our system allows for automated category assignment. Again, I shared with you that we call it the smart tag that Jay uses. You have a button, you put them in, and it automatically assigns everything, automatically assigns the email campaign, and again, the action plan that reminds you when to come into a conversation with them, either on the phone or in person. We go to the next slide. Okay, so we talked about automated email campaigns. There's also an option to do a monthly newsletter. So we actually provide a monthly newsletter, and it's really a generic newsletter. It's like helpful home tips, financial tips. It's not really specific to Isogenics. And what it does is that it just helps you stay top of mind because, again, you're providing information and content that's valuable to them. We've had one member of our system where she actually was visiting clients in their home, was invited over to dinner, and said, "Oh, hey, I just want to let you know our daughters created they cooked the recipe that you sent out in your newsletter," and she quickly had to scramble and remind herself that what was that recipe again? Well, again, it was staying top of mind with the people in her database. Automated action plans that reminds you when to call and reminds you who to call at the appropriate time. We'll go to the next slide. The nice thing about this is you can use it for multiple businesses. I actually use my own WorkSmart BeSmart system for staying in touch with my clients through WorkSmart BeSmart, as well as for my Isogenics business. So you can use it for multiple businesses. A great bullet point, and I got a chuckle out of this. Jay uses it. So, and Jay's helped us design it. So when it comes to a follow-up system, we have really three options, right? One, you can choose to do nothing and just do it the way you're doing it now, and that's perfectly fine. You've got to do what works for you. Two, you could go out there and create your own system. And, and really when you're going out there, whether it be constant contact, people use constant contact, I see there. Yeah, constant contact does not allow you to have an action plan assigned, and it's really not, you still have to create your own action plan on top of any email that you do. You can go out there and get Salesforce, you can go get Act. Each of those CRMs really, that's a component of WorkSmart BeSmart, and it also requires you to build it all out, right? So really it goes to our last bullet point. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. Copy what other successful executives like Jay are already doing, and just do it. Now, it really speaks to the plug-and-play feature. So we'll go to the last slide, and I'll kind of let you know exactly, if you're interested, what your next steps are moving forward. So here's our system. Normally it's $199 a month. Now, that being said, that's for other industries. Okay, so if you go to WorkSmartBeSmart.com, we have a tab there for realtors. Successful realtors are using our system, and they pay $199 a month, right, with a $99 sub fee. Well, Jay came to us and said, guys, people are out there trying to grow their own business and what have you, and really, if people are doing it right, they need some time to get up to a price point that makes sense for them. So he said, can we work together, to bring the price point down for Isogenics executives? And we really worked hard. Jay asked us to go back to our programmers, our vendors, our servers, our server providers, and we went back and renegotiated. And really, what we're looking here is providing a service that really, helps you move your business forward. So it's $95 a month with no setup fee. Okay, so that's a big reduction into in regards to having our entire call system at your disposal that will generate leads and help you stay in conversation and relationship. with every single person in your database. So how do you get there? If you go to worksmartbesmart.com, or worksmartbesmart.com, if you go there now, what we've done is we've worked with Jay, we've created a special tab just for the isogenic associates. And if you go there, you can sign up automatically. It's $95 a month. And there's my email, john@worksmartbesmart.com, as well as that's my personal cell phone number. And, if you're on this call, then we're all on the same team. So I feel comfortable giving you all my contact information. And when you sign up, you're going to have individual attention. Again, so we talked about it's nice to have a system, again, if you're out there trying to do it all on your own. More often than not, people won't. So we know that the best way we can get the best bang for your buck, as well as the most momentum using our system, is that we've got to work with you hand in hand to get you and your contacts in the system, as well as you using the SmartPad to enter any new contacts moving forward into the system. If we can do that, then we know we can really increase your chances of success, not only as an isogenic, not only in our system, but also as an isogenic distributor. And what we do is we followed up with a series of webinars that are helping our users understand how best to leverage the WorkSmart BSmart system for their isogenic business. And sometimes what happens through those webinars, they'll ask how they can leverage it for the same contact with people in their database for other businesses as well. So if that's something that that really you're looking into, go to worksmartbesmart.com. There'll be an isogenic tab right there. You can sign up, and then basically we'll be notified, and we'll get in contact with you, and then we'll walk you through. There'll be individualized instruction on how to get you up and running on the system as quickly as possible. So with that being said, I really appreciate all of your time and attention tonight. I know that you're busy and you're really trying to grow your business, your isogenic business. And I want to let you know I'm there with you growing my own business, and this is a system that not only I use, Jay uses as well. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Jay.
John, great job. I want to thank everybody as well for being on the call here. And again, because the system works for me, I have no connection with John on this at all. This is just a service, a tool for you if you want to take advantage of it. I've been using it. It's been hugely successful for me. It kind of keeps everything glued together, and it's all Isogenics user friendly. I want to make sure that you know I'm the last guy in regards to technology, and if I can use it, I really believe anybody can use it. And like John says, you just have to look at, is this something that will support you and what you're trying to get accomplished? I'd give it at least 90 days and see what you think personally. But just thank you for being on. This Thursday, I'm going to have Joe Malooly doing Product B. He's one of the best guys with Product B. So Thursday, tomorrow night, we're going to be hitting Product B real heavy on the webinar, and that's at 6 o'clock. You're going to love that one. John Esplanade, thank you so much for sharing with everybody here tonight. Guys, have a great week, and thank you so much for being on. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.